All right, what is up, people? This is the first time I think I've ever recorded a video horizontal, so hopefully it turns out good. Anyways, I'm just gonna be basically going over what I'm gonna be doing for the next 180 days, kind of show you guys the whole plan. One of the things that I'm doing during this is I'm not gonna be on social media. So if anyone's like trying to contact me or anything like that, I'm gonna have someone running my page, so they'll just relay it to me. Anyways, so what I'm going to be doing is this thing. I'm sure people have already come up with this name before. This is just my version of it. I'm calling it 180 in 180. Basically, the whole premises of this is that for the next 180 days, I'm gonna do a whole 180 on my life direction. What I mean by that is basically, not saying that my life is in shambles by any means. I'm living a great life, but I want to make a big change in my life, and I want it to be permanent. To give you guys a little bit of background, I'm 24 years old. My birthday just happened a couple weeks ago, and I kind of thought about this weird thought once you hit 24, where you're 6 years away from being 30, but you're also 6 years away from being 18. So I clearly remember being 18 and thinking I had all the time in the world. And now that I'm in that halfway point of 18 and 30, it feels very weird. And that's why I really wanted to make a big change in my life, because I realized that time kept going by and I would always put things off where, oh, I can always do it tomorrow. I have these big ideas, but like now is not a good time. Like always finding an excuse for why I didn't want to do something. And then just kind of staying stuck in life. Some of the big things that I'm going to be tackling in this is, I actually have a whole list on my phone here, which I'll show you guys in a second. But one of the big things is my mental side, where, not saying I have bad mentality or anything like that, but what I've realized, especially with social media, is that I have kind of drained my attention span significantly, to the point where whenever I think about doing something hard, it's very difficult for me to even start that process. So what I'm doing to combat that is I completely got rid of social media, as I said, so I don't have access to it. Even though I'm going to be posting on social media, I am not going to be consuming anything. The only thing activity-wise from me is just making the content, which I won't even be uploading. Someone else will be uploading that for me, so I can't even see comments, likes, views, nothing like that, to try to eliminate any external validation or anything like that that might mess with this whole situation. So basically the whole point of my 180 and 180, kind of give you guys a little bit of an overview, is that kind of like what I recently said, was it's 180 days where there's going to be no audience for me. Obviously, you guys, whoever's watching this, can see all that stuff. I won't be able to see it. There's gonna be no metrics. Again, same thing. I can't see likes, comments, nothing like that. And then there's really no shortcuts during this time, because, I mean, 180 days to change your life sounds like a long time, because it is. But in the grand scheme of things, 6 months goes by either way, so you might as well spend that time trying to build the life you want. Worst case, I mean, I don't think it's a waste of time. I think the ultimate waste of time is wanting to do something, saying you want to do something, and then just never acting upon it. So this whole video is kind of like my way of committing myself to do it, because I'm posting it to the whole world to see, to all 5 people that are going to be viewing this video. But it doesn't matter. It's more of just to hold me accountable during this time. So during this time, it's going to be 6 different phases. So let me go over the overview first. So basically, this is going to be similar to 75 Hard, which I've completed twice now. Every single time I've completed it, I've felt like it was a great thing, the whole process. absolutely love it. I think anyone that has not done it should definitely go do it, especially if you are trying to do some big change in your life. Do that first because that's going to really set a lot of best practices in place and really test and make sure that you are able to, complete things that you say you're going to complete. But at the end of 75 Hard, what I always felt was I was like right on the edge of, oh, I like finally have this great routine down. I'm gonna like finally make these huge changes in my life. But then right when it ends, you kind of mentally and subconsciously feel like, okay, now I can ease off the gas, And I kind of dealt with that every single time I finished it, where, I would tell myself once I finish, I'm not going to touch alcohol, I'm not going to touch junk food, I'm not going to be over consuming, I'm going to stick to this protocol, I'm going to continue to read, drink all my water, all this stuff. And maybe I would do it for like, a week after I finish, but for me, I would always finish around the holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, those times. And I would always end up going out with my friends, and it's like, okay, well, like I'll just drink this one time. Oh, I'll just eat out at this one restaurant this one time, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but deep down for myself, I knew that that's not what I wanted, and I always felt guilty afterwards. So once we let it slip one time, it was kind of like a snowball effect where it kept happening, to the point where I no longer even recognize myself from who I was at the end of 75 Hard to who I am now. So my goal with this is that by committing to 6 months versus, about 2.5 months, it's really going to install a lot of life, like habits for me versus doing like a challenge habit. So I'm not thinking of this as a challenge. I'm thinking of it more of like a commitment of for the next 180 days, I'm just going to stick with this one thing. At the end, obviously I can like reassess, see what I liked, what I didn't like, but my goal is I want to basically build my life in these next 6 months to the point where what I'm doing daily during this is going to be stuff I do daily for the rest of my life, and carry me into the person that I ultimately want to become. So I'm just going to go read through this a little bit. So the first daily non-negotiable is 0 social media consumption. The one exception I have to this is like YouTube videos, but there's a catch with that, where if I'm watching the YouTube videos, it has to be something more related towards like self-improvement. Either it's like nutritional, physical, like learning to stretch, a new exercise, things that would actually benefit me, not like mindless consumption of, oh, like here's like a gambling video I'm just gonna go watch. Not that I watch that stuff, but you get the picture. So no TikTok, no Instagram, no Snapchat. If you want to talk to me, you have my phone number. You can text me, call me. It's the best way to talk to someone, or talk to me in person. It's even better. I'm going to be doing basically a daily documentation every single day. My plan for this is that I'm going to be posting mainly on Instagram and TikTok. Not me, but whoever's running my account. And then I'm going to be making basically like videos like this. Maybe, I'm not sure like time-wise, like how often, but ideally like a couple times a month. Maybe like once a week might be a good goal. This is more to keep me held accountable. So that way it's like you guys can see what I'm doing, but I also like have to prove like, hey, I'm eating this food. I have to like show it. Here's what I'm eating. This is the activity I'm doing. I have to show it. Because it's very easy to like say you're sticking to a program, but if you're not like showing, people don't believe you, So that's like, not that I want to prove it to you guys, it's more I want to prove it to myself. And the easiest way to do that is to put it out in the public, because once something's public, you can't really take it back. And if you don't do it, you kind of look more like you kind of lie to yourself, So some of the inspiration that I'm taking from 75 Hard is obviously daily picture. This is just a progress picture. It's not gonna be anything crazy. I'm gonna be basically just mirror picture, shirt off. That's about it. Um, I'm also gonna be drinking a gallon of water a day. This sounds like a lot of water to most people. I don't blame you. If anyone's doing anything similar to this, you know, a gallon can be a lot, but realistically, with how much, like if you're working out a lot, if you're doing a lot of movement, it's not that much water, especially when you spread it throughout the day. It's a lot of water if you procrastinate and you just do it at the very end of the day. It's huge. I already drank 2 of my Yetis, which my goal is it's about 5 a day, is about a gallon for the size I have. And just start early, you'll be fine. No alcohol, no cheat meals. So I do have like a diet plan of like certain foods that I'm going to be trying to stick closest to. For the cheat meals, the biggest thing is obviously fast food. Cut out. The one exception I have, honestly, if anyone, I'm gonna say this now, but like if anyone has like better suggestions, let me know so then that way I can like adjust it. But the cheat meals, no cheat meals, pretty self-explanatory. Me focused on low sugar. Obviously, I want whole meals. Like I don't want like overly processed stuff. I know for the line of work I do, like I'm in a hotel room right now. If you guys couldn't tell, I do travel and I'm on the road quite a bit, so it's kind of harder for me to stick to like cooking. Like the only thing I have in this hotel room, I'll show you guys, is that little fridge and that microwave. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to stick to diet stuff, but honestly, I think that's most people in life. You know, it's not perfect condition. So that's why I'm going to show you guys what I like to do to like try to eat healthy. And then anyone that has suggestions, just let me know. And if I'm saying I'm going to do like a certain diet and then I start eating stuff that's not in that diet, please let me know. I suck with diet stuff, so that's the one thing where I'm going to say it ahead of time, probably going to mess up on it. I'm not going to restart because of it, but unless it's like a cheat meal, obviously. But if I'm like trying to eat healthy and it's something that's not best and there's something better, let me know. Chipotle, for example, like I think it's pretty healthy. I know people argue about it, but for the most part, if I'm on the road and that's one of the only options, I'm gonna probably eat it. And then no alcohol. I mean, pretty self-explanatory with that. Same thing, 10 pages of a self-improvement non-fiction book. The thing that I personally like to do is I don't enjoy reading necessarily, but if I am going to be reading, I do want to get something from it. That's what 75 Hard kind of taught me. So I do like books where it's very self-improvement because it's kind of like consuming content where if you're reading, you know, like fiction books, all this stuff, yes, it's entertaining, but once you finish, it's not necessarily going to change much about your life. Not saying a book, like one book in particular, is gonna like be a huge change in your life, unless it's like the Bible. I think that's the only real book that can have major changes in your life. But having a book that is, while you're reading it, is kind of showing you some best practices in life to how to improve it, I don't think is a bad thing at all. And I think that's, if you're gonna spend time reading, you should be doing stuff like that. And if you still want to read fiction, that's totally fine. Just do it separate to this stuff, you know? So still read your self-improvement books, guys. Next thing, I'm going to be doing daily journal entries. Basically, I can go into more depth later. It's kind of basically like in the morning, I'm going to be doing 3 intentions I have for the day. At the end of the day, 3 wins plus a lesson from the day. Pretty simple. I want it to be very simple to the point where it's you don't think about it that much, but when you do think about it, it's just enough to like have a plan for the day without being like, I need to do this, and if I don't do this, it's a failure. So those are the pretty much the main things that I'm going to be doing. Obviously, with what one of my goals is, it's going to be flexibility is one of my biggest, I wouldn't even say insecurity, but like faults that I have is I'm not a flexible person at all, to the point where I have like pain from it. And I think it does have a huge mental effect on me. Anyone that has like poor posture, you kind of know that your body kind of relates heavily to your mental. So like if your physical health isn't in check, your mental health most likely isn't in check as well, and it's kind of vice versa. So one of the things I'm really focusing on is flexibility. Reason being is I can hit the gym, I can lift weights, love lifting weights, all that stuff, don't have any issues with that. Same with like running, I don't enjoy running that much, but like I don't struggle with it. So like when I did 75 hard, I was like, dude, this is so easy. Like I didn't think it was that big of a challenge. So I wanted to introduce a flexibility routine where with 75 hard, it's 2 workouts a day, 1 being outside. Mine's similar, where I'm still gonna be doing workouts, but one of them is gonna be a dedicated stretch routine every single day. I'm gonna be changing it up obviously as I go, but the whole point of that is that I want to feel better in my body and also have my body be more functional, so that I'm not just looking, like I'm like healthy. I want to actually feel healthy too. So like I said, it's going to be broken up into 6 different phases. Phase 1 is pretty much the foundation phase. It's going to be very basic, where it's just basically just starting the whole program. So just doing all those daily habits that I just went over, doing those every single day. For the flexibility, it's not anything crazy. It's literally just getting into it. Not going to push myself to where it's like, oh, I need to like feel these intense, crazy stretches. No, as long as you feel a stretch, that's it. This is just meant to like teach me where's my tight spots, and that way I can spend more time on them. Obviously, if one part of my body is like super flexible, but the other part isn't, it wouldn't make sense for me to spend a ton of time on the already flexible part. It should be addressing the other issues first. And then, like I said, 2 workouts daily, 1 being that stretch mobility. So it's like a workout, but not really a workout. The other one, I'm not doing like it has to be outside or anything like that. I think that's not a bad thing to do, especially like when it's nice out. You should get your vitamin D, everything like that. With what I do for work, I am outside a lot, so I don't really have an issue of like being stuck inside all day. And then obviously reading. So that's it for phase 1. And then I'll just briefly go over the other phases. When I get to those phases, I'll make more videos going in more depth. But second phase is just pretty much building upon the habits from phase 1, kind of increasing some intensity in some ways. Phase 3 is going to be momentum. So based on what I built, continue that, add momentum, kind of like a snowball, like it keeps getting bigger, going. And then phase 4 is really deepening it. This is the part where between phase 3 and 4, that's like once 75 hard ends. This is going to be phase 3 is day 61 to 90. So each one's 30 days. So right in that in between, that's when 75 hard normally ends. This is where it's going to really like push me, because this is going to be the longest I've done something like this. Which is why phase 4 is going to be really deepening, where I feel like mentally, physically, emotionally, like all that, it's going to be very deeper than what it is right now. And then phase 5 is going to be transformation. I'm going to be doing transformation through this whole thing, but I believe around that time is going to be when you really start to see it, because I'm a big believer where, yes, you can get pretty good transformations within a couple months, but I think it has to be minimum like 3 to 4 months before you really like notice big changes in your life. Anyone that has like done anything like that, you know how like fast time can go by. And unless you're like really intentional about it, you really aren't going to see much changes unless you're like either taking like performance enhancing drugs, or you're like on a super strict protocol, like all these things. It takes a lot of time. So I theorize around phase 5 is when it's going to really like show. And then the last phase is phase 6, which I call integration. All it is pretty much everything that I've learned up to that point, putting it all together, and it's going to be integrated into my life to where once I finish this, it shouldn't be like I just revert back to my old self. So that's going to be all the phases. Like I said, each one's about 30 days. Each phase too, it's going to be a little bit different with like flexing, everything like that. I have a more in-depth look of like what I'm going to be doing for the flexibility exercises. I'll make a separate video for that. I just want to go over this real quick. And then obviously another big thing is the mental side. So my mental health side, really want to focus on that. Like I said, I'm going to be doing intentional journaling, writing my thoughts out, all this kind of stuff. One thing I am going to be doing is basically sitting in silence without like any distractions. So like no music, no podcasts, just me and my own thoughts, whether that be for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm not putting a time limit on it necessarily. It's just more of intentional time of spending just sitting with myself, which I think most people struggle with to even do for like a minute. So I think anything past that is already going to be an improvement. And obviously, as I get better at this, it's probably going to get longer. Very simple, it's the mental side is going to be something you can't really track. It's just kind of something that happens over time. So I'm not like putting a huge emphasis on having these metrics that I want to meet. Like for example, like with the weightlifting, it's very easy. You can track your numbers, your volume, everything like that. It's super easy to do. With the mental side, there's no way to like truly do that except for basically journaling your thoughts is like the only real way. And then over time, you'll start to notice, and other people will start to notice like how that changes you mentally. And then last thing, nutrition. So the focus I want to do on this, and I'll make a separate video for this too, is I want to focus on basically like eating healthy, but also like figuring out what foods help me and what foods hurt me, and what foods help with like anti-inflammatory things, stuff like that. Like where it's like, if I'm feeling tight because I have tight muscles, I want to eat foods that aren't going to like flare that up, because I think diet is a huge thing that most people tend to like push off to the side. Luckily, I have people in my life that I can kind of like go to talk about this stuff, because that's kind of like more of their specialty. So that very thankful for you guys, and you know who you are. So I'll show like here. I have a list of some anti-inflammatory foods that I should be eating more of versus like just like processed food, all that stuff. It's like salmon, sardines, blueberries, leafy greens, black pepper, extra virgin olive oil, walnuts, ginger, sweet potato, green tea, tart cherry juice, avocado, and then if I want like a snack, like a treat, whatever, dark chocolate. But again, main focus, I'm not trying to eat a lot of sugar, because one thing about me is I get a lot of breakout when I eat sugar. So like for me, I just tend to not eat a lot of sugar as is. So that's kind of like not a big thing for me. But yeah, that's pretty much it for what this 180, like the whole rules and everything is for it. One thing that is going to be a little bit different compared to like a 75 hard challenge is this is obviously something that I made, and it might change as I go through it. Reason being is like it's not tested, at least like from what I've seen. I haven't done like any research on anyone else that has done like a 180 and 180. I don't even know if it's a thing. Something I came up with like on my own. If someone has already done something like this, cool, great. This is my version, not following anyone else's rules for this, just strictly mine. So if I find that things aren't working in the way that I think they should, I can make small, minor adjustments, but anything that I do change during this, I'll let you guys know, because again, I need to hold myself accountable, so be posted to the whole wide world. Hooray. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, I'll be making more videos, kind of going more in depth on everything. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you guys want to follow along, cool, hit that follow. Again, I'm not doing this for clout or whatever. I'm doing this because I just want to make a change in my life. I figure posting it documenting it, cool. If no one views it, awesome. I'll have something that I can look back on once I finish it. If people like it and they want to do something similar, cool, but that's it. I'm not here to like be like some influencer or anything like that. I'm not here to like sell anyone like this is literally just for me. So yeah, that's about it. I don't know how to end videos, so yeah. Bye.